if this might end up being like a microcosm of Arsenal's season, because if they do end up finishing in second place, you can look at it and go, well, do you know what? Second place is fantastic for where we thought we'd be at the start of the season, but we led for so long. And I think that's maybe the feeling post that game at Anfield as well.
Well, just in the game. I mean, to go there, right, he's right. You get off the bus, you think, you want maximum points, but if we take a point away from here, we're happy. You know, but I haven't been 2-0 up, you know, and cruising in the game. But you always know Liverpool, I mean, they're at the moment, they're very dangerous. They're having a terrible season, but they're dangerous. You know, they've got really dangerous players who can hurt you, and they're party poopers at the moment. They're going to spoil a few parties along the way between now and the end of the season. That's what they did to Arsenal. But they were in so much control. You know, they popped it around them. Martinelli and Saka were outstanding. Odegaard was controlling things in the middle of the park, and they just couldn't hold on. It would have been. I honestly believe it's wide open now. It's certainly wide open. But I think if they would have held on, I think that confidence that would have took them to go to Anfield, come back to, you know, they were really pushing. If you would have held on and won that game 2-1, I would have said pretty much over. I still think Arsenal got a good chance. Of course they have. But it might have dented their confidence a little bit. But it's not disastrous. You know, you know what the mood's like, right? When you go back, if you lose a game, the mood between now and the next game is doom and gloom all the time. It's trying to get the chins up. The manager has to pick up the troops, but he hasn't got to do that now, Mikel. He will say in a cold light today, he say, look, Anfield, you know, it was intense atmosphere. You know, the momentum was changing.
Look at the positive stuff.
Absolutely, and I think that they will say, well, we're still in the driving seat.
Because the way Daz, you see the way they're talking, you'd think that Arsenal actually lost that game. There's a little bit of like a boom about it, and I still think that's a positive result. It has to be.
But it is a positive result in so much as the attitude of the players hasn't changed, the mentality hasn't changed, the objective hasn't changed, and there's a realisation. And I was in a press conference before the match where Arteta said you don't train in the zoo to go into the jungle. And why he'd said that was because people were talking about that unorthodox technique he used in the documentary, where he had the speakers of the intensity and the noise playing You'll Never Walk Alone and whatever else. And people were talking about it and saying, look, you did get a bit of stick for that. But he said, well, look...
Well, he got a bit of stick for it because they were beaten 4-0.
4-0 in that match.
After that,
Yes, but my view has always been that in the old days, managers would maybe hear someone say something or write something, pin it up on the dressing room. Now you have younger managers with more techniques. So throughout the course of the documentary, you saw a variety of techniques that he used. You're trying to motivate millionaire footballers, young men, find different ways to give them the same message. And he's given them that message to stunning effect, you have to say, when you consider what they've done so far this season. When you talk about the perception of the result, I mean, this is an editor of a newspaper, so it's us really who are making these perceptions.
Driving the narrative.
But you see, the thing is, there has been so much expectation around Arsenal, and they've generated that because they've been so good, so consistent. They were on a run of 6 straight wins. All of the individuals that many people had question marks over, they've been completely different so far this season, not least the likes of Xhaka, for example, who's been a real leader. When Jesus wasn't around, everyone said it would fall apart, and you scored goals and people stepped up. So people expected this to be the last place where you had a bit of unfinished business and you'd go there and you'd sort it out. And there was just disappointment more than anything.
Not won this since 2012.
No, and Arteta was in the team at the time. So it tells you how long ago the whole obstacle has been there. No, I've always felt that because City have been the course and the distance, so they would come through and win. But I don't think it changes Arsenal's objective at all. No. If they go in their next game, for example, and they improve their goal difference, because City's is superior at the moment, then they give themselves a
huge amount. It's what, 4 or 5? Yeah.
So then it goes down to the wire. One false move from City, and Arsenal, it's back in their own hands again. But at the moment, it is City.
I mean, it's kind of in Arsenal's hands as well, because if they beat Manchester City, when they it's in both their hands at the same time because they've got to play each other.
Well, yes and no. I mean, City's record at the Etihad is near invincible.
Yeah.
They've lost once and they've drawn once in their last 30 games. It's a very, very tall order to suggest that they're going to do that. Plus, you've got to go to Newcastle as well. The best defence in the country. They're scoring goals for fun now. When they have Bruno Gomes in midfield, they too are near invincible. So it's going to be a tough old task. But I don't think it changes the mentality, the attitude, the objective at Arsenal, because they are still in a very, very good place. And you'd rather be there than anywhere else.
Trying to win the title it's no duck walk, is it? Somewhere you're...
What's a duck walk?
You know...
a cakewalk.
Cakewalk. It's a cakewalk. I was thinking in mind, is it cake or is it duck? Cat. It's a cat. I want to say, no, but like, I was thinking of ducks just walking, just like going to the pond. But the thing is, it ain't no cake duck walk, right? And you can't expect...
It ain't a walk in the lake, is it?
You can't expect... What was I doing?
Is duck walk really a thing?
Duck walk? I heard it in a film. Is it cakewalk? Thanks, Darren. It's no cakewalk. It's a cake. What is a cakewalk? Anyway, it's going to be tough.
Yeah.
You know, you're getting... This is the stage of the season. It's like, I remember when it was on here with Paul Scholes. He said, this is the stage of the season where everything is ramped up. You know, you expect City to be finding their form. You expect someone like Newcastle to get themselves going. No game now you look at is something that you can go to, and those teams are not looking for something. So this is the time, this is what Arsenal, this is what they're trying to do, the second youngest team in the league, Southampton. They've got to get through this period, and it's not going to be easy. You'd expect a team like City to cause the problems they're causing. Of course they are, they're a brilliant team.
Because Manchester City have got the Champions League semi-final, they're only going to play once against Leicester before City and Arsenal face each other at the Etihad. So Arsenal know that they will be top of the table, whatever happens in that game. But that's just an extra game in hand for Manchester City. And like you said, they're looking like they are absolutely invincible at the moment. Every cog in that machine is working smoothly. And that is not a bad run of fixtures between now and the end of the season. Whereas you say, for Arsenal, there are those moments where you think that could be tricky.
Well, look,
Chelsea played both of them. We don't know what Chelsea are going to be like.
You don't know what Chelsea are going to be like. We know Newcastle. You know, you've got Newcastle there.
Yeah.
You've got Brighton. You know, you look at those games. Obviously, Chelsea, Newcastle, Brighton's going to be the games. You know, you look at those games, it's going to be those games. Arsenal have to go into all of those games believing that they can win them, because it's probably that's what it's going to take. It's going to take that. Because you look at City, can you see City losing?
I don't think either of them take maximum points between now and the end of the season. I think they both drop points. It's just how many. I think Man City beat Arsenal. And then I think it's where did they drop points elsewhere? Both of them. I look at
City's side
will win.
there. You look at City's side there, Tim, and I find it very hard with City at the stage of the season where they know what they need to do. I find it very, very difficult for any of those teams to get anything from City. Because they know exactly what they've got to do now.